welcome to the Wellness Sessions podcast. My name is Bexy and I am your host. And today I am welcoming Denene from Natural Alchemy onto the podcast. We're going to be diving into psychic awareness, psychic embodiment, and all that is, and how that can really enhance your life and enhance that self-love practice that we want to talk about. So Denene, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Denene and I'm from Natural Alchemy. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for having me. So as Rebecca stated, I work with psychic abilities. I'm an empath and a psychic medium, and I've developed a program to help those tap into their innate abilities because we're all psychic. We are all psychic by human design, and these abilities can really help enhance our life, and it can help our connection to the cosmos, to the earth, and to each other.
I'm so excited for this. So thank you so much for coming on. So my first question that I wanted to ask you was, how has claiming this innate ability for you, how has that changed your perception or your life, or how you process life? How does that feel for you?
For me, it's rooted in empowerment. Because I came into this life fully activated. My psychic abilities were turned on. My empathic abilities were off the charts. I could feel everything around me. So I felt very foreign, very alien almost to this world and everyone around me, because I noticed people were not sensing and picking up on everything that I was. It's really, in essence, a deeper level of perception. So for me, I was perceiving all of this information, all of this data through my senses, through my feeling, my knowing, my hearing. It's a deeper sense. So I was picking up on all of that, and it was very overwhelming, very overwhelming. So I felt different. I felt completely overloaded and with what I like to call psychic bombardment. So it was a really tough time for me, the whole, I would say, beginning half of my life. And it wasn't until I claimed these abilities and I stepped into them that they really turned my life around, and I became empowered. I no longer felt like a victim or burdened by them, and I was able to rise in them and just work with my world in a deeper, more enriching way.
And what would, so if you're talking about all of these intuitive and natural abilities that you have, is there one specifically that felt very activated and that you wanted to embrace most? Was there?
So it was really my ability to feel. So my empathic ability, so either empathy or clairsentience, that's that really deep feeling. So I could feel others' emotions as if they were my own. I could feel others' physical states as if they were my own. If I was with you and you had a headache, I would feel a headache as well. If you were going or moving through something deeply traumatic, I could feel your pain as if it was my own. So that one was the one that was just off the charts from the beginning. And that's why it was so overwhelming, because when you think of our world, and if you look at the state of the world now, there's so much unresolved trauma, so much shadow that is buried that has never been dealt with, and it's generational and ancestral, and it gets carried down. And what we're seeing now in the world is that there are those of us who really came to break those chains. We're the ones who are saying, we're stopping the cycle, we're ending it here, we're going to heal it. And to do that, we have to feel it. So we're feeling it to heal it. And with that ability, you can really transmute a lot of traumatic experience. You can shift that energy and you can alchemize it and turn that pain into power.
Pain into power. That is such a great sentiment. Wow. I mean, that's amazing. I love the fact that you've talked about, being able to feel others' pain or a headache, or, we call them sympathy pains, like when I guess that's definitely an empathic trait, I'd say, sympathy, like feeling things for other people, but even just being able to identify those. And I'm hoping that people listening to this can say, oh, you know what, I've totally had that experience. And, I definitely feel pain when I'm in a room with somebody who's feeling pain emotionally or physically, and that should help to really empower you to know that it's not it's absolutely an experience that more than you are having, I have to say, like, the whole psychic abilities, like, I guess in a cookie cutter way, people sometimes just think of like tarot readings or going and looking into a crystal ball, or like the typical kind of notions of what psychic abilities are, but that is such a small version of what it can actually become. And I mean, having watched you, Denene, like, I completely understand how broad and how much you tap into so many different elements of life, to be able to do that. I guess for me, what do you believe, if somebody feels like they have these abilities, what do you feel like is the first step to kind of claiming them?
Yeah. So for someone to claim them, I mean, I think people don't like to acknowledge that it's almost real. They think it's maybe a select few who are quote unquote special that might have these abilities, but it's really all of us have them. It's built within us because it's part of our body. It's an expression of our body. It's felt through our body. And I think people more so think it's something to do with the mind, but it's a connection between the two, and there really needs to be a symbiotic flow between the two to fully express them. But so getting back to it being innate and part of us, and again, dropping into the body, this is something we can all tune into. Sure, there are people who come into this life. I equate it to a volume button on a radio. So we all have the volume button. It's just some people's volume button are turned up a little higher. And you could think of different realms that you can tap into with these abilities, the different psychic abilities or intuitive abilities that you have. It's like dialing into a different radio station. And the higher your volume button is, the higher you can turn it up, the clearer you're going to hear these channels. So it's really just acknowledging and accepting that it is a part of you. It's a part of all of us. We all have this. So that's the one, just accepting and acknowledging, okay, this is a part of me. And to step into it, it's really dropping into your body. It's getting into the body, getting out of the mind, getting into the body, or learning how to work with both and creating that flow between both of them. So that's what I like to focus my work around, because the feeling, the expression, these are senses. And how are you feeling them? You're sensing them with the body. And how are you going to tell the difference between what you're picking up on? It's going to be felt within the body. So really becoming body conscious. That's the first step to really claiming them, is tapping back into your body, getting out of the external, getting so much out of the mind, and getting back into your body and really feeling.
And I love that. I mean, anything that brings people back to their body, I feel like is just of utmost importance in this lifetime anyway. And I think that's amazing to be able to do that. And I think actually since becoming aware of all of these different psychic realms, I guess, if you want to call them, like you're saying, the different radio stations, since I've witnessed you and witnessed others who have these abilities that are becoming more fine-tuned, it's empowering for me as a witness to be able to say, well, actually, I get these feelings and I don't necessarily act on them, or I don't necessarily acknowledge them, I don't empower them, I don't bring them into my experience and include them, even though they are absolutely part of my experience. And I think that, even just having this conversation is like really lovely to be able to say, oh, hang on, what was that feeling, and how did I act upon it, and how, it's kind of saying, how am I making room for this, and literally embracing it in a like you're saying, a body consciousness way, or a body awareness. And anything like that, I feel inherently, it's just like tapping in back into your spine, isn't it? It's like it's like alignment, it's integrity, it's all about being a human, and like you say, everybody has it within them. So that's incredible to be able to really elevate what we know, and it's
absolutely
in a really beautiful way.
Absolutely. And I usually like to point out to people, you can probably think right now of numerous examples of where you felt something in your gut. You'll always hear people say that. That's like a key thing. Oh, I didn't trust my gut. I went against my gut, or I felt it in my gut. Because we sense this all with the body when something isn't right, or you know something is going to happen and you have a feeling. But a lot of times we're told not to trust that. It's been more promoted to trust the logical, analytical side with the thinking, that side of your brain, as opposed to the intuitive flow. So it's getting back into that feeling nature, and it's really all about dropping back down into the body to feel it. Because I can think of examples of someone, I ran into somebody from the past, and they were talking to me, and immediately I could just feel that this was not someone that I should be engaging in an energetic exchange with. I had a headache. I could feel my gut, my stomach was hurting. I had pains in my stomach. So our bodies are always sending us those signals, but we have to tune in. But we're so distracted, and we've been programmed to be so hyper focused on the external as opposed to the internal. And to analyze and use logic and to really overthink and go that way instead of what do I feel? How is that registering within my body? And it's not just with people, it's environments as well. Our environment is always speaking to us. You can feel the difference. I usually tell people, start with a room in your house, that might be cluttered. Register, how does that feel in your body when you're sitting in that room? Now go and clean out that room. After you tap into how it feels, get rid of the clutter, clean, and sit there. How does it feel to be in that space? You usually feel much better. It feels lighter, and you can feel it in your body. It feels more comfortable.
Yeah, no, and we have rooms in all parts of our bodies as well, if you want to categorize it like that, don't you? I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's absolute magic. And I love that. I love that we have all of these. I love the fact that you've touched on environment and integrating, because I obviously with recent happenings around the world, being in collective environments has been incredibly challenging for people. But also there's been so much energetic exchange still, even though we've not been physically in the same space. So it's kind of this collective messages, being able to know kind of how to process them. And I guess, is there anything that you think from like your psychic practice or awareness or the fine-tuning that integrating or interacting with that, do you find it's the psychic notions within that as well, and you're tapping into that in certain ways?
Absolutely. We're always picking up on things. We don't have to actually physically be with each other to do that. So this energetic exchange, we can really feel each other. So when we're sharing with each other and we're picking up on all this data that we're sensing, including emotions, a lot of times we're not realizing we're sensing it with the body, and it could get stored within the body. And people do not realize that. That's why emotions are energy in motion. And if we don't express them, they can get lodged down into the body, not only in an energetic sense, but physically, which could create disease or dis-ease in the body. So what a lot of people don't realize, as we're picking up, we're like psychic antennas, and we're constantly picking up on these signals, and you have to clear them out. You have to clear them out. So that's a huge body conscious practice with the clearing of energy out of the physical body. And you can do that in so many different ways. So many different ways that are easy to do that I don't think people even realize. One being movement. And this is, you work in this realm, movement, whether it's in the form of a workout, if it's in the form of dance, anything that can get your body up and moving can really clear out energy. We can do it by meditation, visualization. There's so many different practices and avenues that we can use to clear out energy from our body that is stored, psychic energy that we pick up that could be stored within us. It has to be a practice that you cultivate. You want to build a relationship with it. It's not something like that's a one and done. Someone might think, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to clear this energy out of my body. It's like maybe someone going and getting Reiki done, right? And they go one time and they think, yes, my problems are solved. No, this has to be an ongoing practice that you continue. It's a relationship that you cultivate. You want to be able to clear out this energy on an ongoing basis. So then you could also cultivate energy within and build yourself back up. Because if you're constantly bombarded with all of this energy, you get exhausted and you could wear yourself down and it could become heavy and dense. So you want to make sure you're a clear channel through that.
Yeah, no, totally. And everything that you've just said, it reminds me of the shake part of what I do, the ecstatic awakening dance. I love the shake. Like at first I found it really, really hard to like get into and get the right movement going. But actually when you get into the shake and you really, really surrender to the music and you allow your body to do what it wants to do, I realized, like, I had a daily practice of that last year as COVID hit in the UK, and I was shaking every single day. And as I grew that practice, it was amazing. It was amazing to feel like, oh, this is a gift. I get to like cleanse my body of like everything that feels like it's not serving me. And even if I got halfway through my day and I felt a little bit like, oh, I feel like I've picked up on something, I just want to get rid of it, I'd do another shake just to move that through my body and really expel it out into the energy around me, or ground it down into the earth. That was a beautiful process to go through. And I think also, I don't know whether you feel this, but actually the energy of the information that you consume and how you consume it, sometimes that really affects my ability to tap in rather than reference everything else for my decisions or anything like that. So that ability to intuit, as you are talking about, and have that body consciousness, often I feel like the quality of the information that you're digesting and whether it's actually useful to you, useful to your energy, that's so important for us to learn. Actually, whether it's reading a room or whether it's reading an energy of a media channel, like is that useful for me? Not really. Do I want to go and talk about two people talking about psychic abilities and how it can help you? Like that might be more up my street, because actually it's about facilitating my awareness and my consciousness. So
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear more about that psychic embodiment that we talked about at the beginning as well. So the program that you are developing, can you tell us all about that?
Absolutely. And I really love that you touched upon consumption, because we live in a world of consumption. And when we're tapped in and we can be that clear channel, we can intuit, we can discern what is right for us and what is not. And that is really needed in this world at this time. We need that discernment. We've gotten so lost from that. We cannot tap into what is right for us and that feeling nature. Again, we need that. That is so important right now. So the discernment is huge. And when you can become that clear channel and you can tap in, it really helps you be able to discern. So that's one of my focuses as well, because discernment leads you to also asking questions, which leads to more questions, which can lead to transformation. It's really about awareness. It's cultivating a deeper awareness within not only yourself, but again, your environment and who you're interacting with. So it all stems back to that. And that's what humanity's gotten away from. We're not feeling, we're not asking questions, we're not discerning. That's what got us in trouble. We need to be doing that. So for me, I wanted to develop a program, especially for empaths, since I am an empath, and I wanted to develop a program that could really help them dive into these innate abilities and to really rise in this power so that they can thrive on this spiritual journey and also be of service in the world. Because I feel like empaths are needed at this time. They are needed because they are powerful transmuters. We can transmute energy because we feel it so deeply. And there's power in that. And I know a lot of empaths who do feel like their gifts are a curse. They don't feel it's a gift at all. They feel very burdened by it. So I want to be able to switch that for them to where they can feel empowered like I do. And you could go from just trying to survive to being in a state where you can thrive. So that's really what my program is centered around. And it's called Mind, Body, Soul, Psychic Embodiment. And at the root of it, at the heart of it, is a principle that I developed called 3 Rising. And 3 rising really has to do with these 3 elements, your mind, body, and soul, because it's not just enough to have a connection between the 3. With the principle of 3 rising, you want to create a symbiotic flow where it's elevating and evolving and all 3 are rising together. Because that's what's needed, because we're constantly changing and evolving. Energy isn't created or destroyed, it just transforms. So we need to be able to transform in that way as well. So we take a deep dive, and it's very focused on being in the body and practices that you could do not only to enhance, but that you can use to deeply cultivate and expand. It's all about expansion and awareness. So that's what the program focuses on, but also adding in the mind, because the mind is powerful. We need the mind. It is a powerful tool.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. It's all, and it sounds, the 3 rising, I completely, that mirrors so much of what I have going on in the Wild Moon Oracle deck. You know, this idea that there's layers of self. It's not just we are one and we are so many things, and we're constantly we're like these endless beings that extend beyond the physical, and we can touch so many things and feel so many things. And I really believe that there's so much power in being able to unify those 3 elements. So I love the fact that you're doing that, and I love the fact that you are empowering empaths, because I think sometimes it can come with a lot of difficult trauma, like you're talking about. It can come from, or not come from, but it can come with a lot, can't it? If you're feeling so much to do with like the external world, that's an incredible gift to be able to give people. You know, that's such an amazing thing. And what do you feel? If somebody's like on the cusp of thinking like, oh, I could be an empath, I might not be, or, you know, like what would you say is like a tell sign that it would be awesome for them to learn how to harness that energy?
So a lot of empaths will feel very overwhelmed in crowds. They'll feel very overwhelmed in anywhere where there's a large amount of people. So whether it's the mall or a concert, and often they'll go into the situation feeling fine, and they'll leave feeling very anxious, very overwhelmed. They might even feel sad or depressed because they're absorbing so much of the energy around them instead of trying to separate and observe. They're absorbing everything. They feel tired. A lot of them experience autoimmune issues or chronic fatigue, pains in the body. They also have a lot of people-pleasing tendencies where they're giving and giving and giving to please other people, because you want to help other people, obviously from a place of pure intention with love from your heart, but you hyper focus on helping people out of their trauma and into their joy, because if they're in joy, you won't feel their pain anymore. You're going to feel their joy and their bliss. So it's kind of a second layer there. You know, you have that pure intention of wanting to help, because you feel people's pain so deeply, and you do want to genuinely help them, but you also want to get them in a state where you're not feeling their pain either. So there's a lot that can happen there. And so you do want to help in that sense. So there's a lot of people pleasing, a lot of hard relationships. A lot of empaths attract narcissists. And it's like moths to a flame, because they can sense your giving nature. And a lot of empaths will have a lot of trauma from that, or a lot of PTSD they'll experience as well. So there's a lot of different signs along the way that can indicate that you are an empath. And that's why so many suffer and they feel so burdened. And I hear all the time that empaths feel like that these gifts are a curse. And so I really want to be able to switch that for them and really show them it's not a curse. You can control this. It doesn't have to run your life. You can be in control, and you can be in control and run it yourself. It doesn't have to dictate your existence. It doesn't have to be a death sentence. You can thrive in this.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's such, like I say, such a gift. And when you do say, crowded environments and things like that, I think particularly as people, and over here in the UK, we're only just opening up. But especially after not being around people for a long time, or unfurling and going back into what's classed as normal society or whatever it is, I think people are feeling lots of different things. And it's really nice to know that people can be held in a different way, because I think that that's something that's really positive that has come about, is the fact that people are talking about being an empath now. they're talking about being, talking about different personality types and how they can kind of functions like narcissism. Narcissism is very real, but also then kind of the opposite end of all of that, and how we all club together and we all grow together, essentially, which is what this podcast is all about, bringing these ideas together and helping people to really feel liberated in whatever way that they can, with some more information about these things, so I guess, when is your program starting? Are you beginning to enroll soon? What's the deal with that?
So it's launching very soon. Right now, I am offering free intuitive breakthrough sessions. So it's a 60-minute Zoom call with me that if somebody is interested in learning, we can hop on and we can identify their sensitivities, any challenges they're experiencing with their sensitivities, and then together we can map out a plan on how they can grow in these innate abilities, how they can harness them, and how they can elevate themselves and rise in their power. So the program is a 12-week program, and you get one-on-one live sessions with me every week where we dive in very, very deep and we focus on these areas. And there's also 3 bonus healing activation sessions with me as well.
Amazing. And I have to say, Denene, with everything that I've witnessed of you hold space so beautifully. So I can imagine that those the people who are going to go through this course with you are going to be expanded humans. Like, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be so incredible. And I love that you are claiming that and you are putting that out into the world, because I think all of these, everybody, and I really truly believe this is one of my reasons for doing this podcast, is that everybody has their gift to bring to be in service and to offer back to the community, and whether that be global, whether that be local, there is so much that we can gift each other, and sometimes it's just a question of whether we see it in ourselves. And I see that every day. I see this conversation of worthiness in terms of how people perceive themselves, and I love to be able to celebrate and raise people up and really do that. So I think it's amazing. And I think just the idea of psychic embodiment and this idea of grounding into our realities through our bodies is such an important process and such an important message for everyone. For you to be able to, if anybody doesn't know what embodiment means, by the way, for me, embodiment is all about tapping into that mind, body, soul feeling and being able to exude that out into the world. So being able to turn up and express your energy with purity, to explore, to experiment, to be able to kind of feel ultimately you. That is embodiment for me. And I think that it's so important that each of us have this, feel like they have the space to feel fully embodied and have all of the tools to feel fully embodied, and really feel passionate about their life on every single level. That is I love my life of love is what I call my life. I love my life. And it's all about adoration, really, in that sense. So I love embodiment for that reason, but it's awesome to know that you are empowering this very specific set of people as well. That's a beautiful thing to be able to offer. Is there anything else that you're particularly excited about or you want to share, Denene?
So I really love how you just focus on the embodiment aspect, because that's such a huge part of this program. It's deeply rooted in psychic connection, mystical alchemy, and that earthly embodiment, because we need to take all of these energetics and ground it here physical. And that's where we're going to see the true alchemical transformations take place. And that's what the collective needs. Because if you think about it, look at how much collective trauma just happened through the experience of this pandemic. There's so many different layers of trauma that are hitting so many different people. And it's worldwide. It's global. So we're really going to be needing to dig in deep here to shift this trauma, to alchemize it, to turn this pain into power. People are going to need this. So that's why I feel like it's so important to empower those who are here to help, who do have the power to transmute that because they feel so deeply, who can guide others and be of service. Because a lot of empaths want to do that. They want to step up and be of service. They just don't know how. So through this program, I'm really laying the groundwork that will empower them to do just that. And it's needed now more than ever. So that's what I really love about the program. And there's so much. I mean, there's techniques and exercises and practices that you could do weekly that are going to be shared. And the program is designed that each week builds upon the next. So it's a beautiful like tiered set that just leads to the ultimate combination of all three, the three rising.
Amazing. And I would say, there's so many different types of embodiment, isn't there, and so many flavors. So it really is about tapping into, like if you feel really drawn to Denene, like go and find Denene and definitely have one of those beautiful one-on-ones. And if you feel like you want to go about it in a slightly different way, there's opportunities for tapping into embodiment in lots of different ways. Whether you're an artist or like whatever it is that you want to achieve through that. So I think it's about empowered embodiment, whatever version of that it is for you, your unique twist on it, and whoever you are drawn to learn about it is absolutely beautiful and necessary, right? That's what we are absolutely here for. So I want to say thank you for your time and your energy today, Denene. It's awesome to connect with you and to share everything that you are going to be sharing into the world as well, and just to talk this level of psychic awareness that we all have, and I guess I invite anybody who is listening to just reach out into the world kind of differently and see whether you see these abilities within you, and kind of tap in and take notice, because that's what we're here to do, right?
Absolutely. And when you do that, it's really developing a deep level of trust within yourself, because we all, again, have these abilities. And when you can tap into them and learn to trust it, you can navigate your world in such a powerful way. It's truly life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that sentiment. Such a beautiful sentiment to actually finish on. So thank you so much for your time and your energy, for anybody listening, and please look out for the next episode of the Wild Moon Sessions podcast. And if you do want to find Denene, you can find her on which social media channels? Do you want to mention any, Denene?
Absolutely. So they can check me out on Instagram at Natural Alchemy. And I have a podcast called Soul Speak. And I also put a lot of things on my Pinterest as well. I have a Natural Alchemy Pinterest as well, where they can keep an eye out for different things from me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And until our next episode, take care of you and have an awesome day.